Hi, I'm Gwen Frist from the Cape Cod Times. We're here today at the Aqua Grill and Sandwich with co-owner and Chef Gert Rausch. And Gert, you're going to show us a dish that you grew up with when in your native Germany. I'm going to step out of the way and let you get to work, okay?
All right, thank you, Gwen. What we're going to do today is we're going to do a schnitzel. And probably a lot of people are going to ask me, why doesn't he do veal? But it's not really true that you have to do just veal. You can use pork, you can use chicken, you can use turkey, you can do venison, you can almost use any kind of veal. So what we're having here, we're using a chicken. And what we're going to do is we're going to pound the chicken, because the most important thing at a schnitzel is that it is thinly pounded. And what we're doing is we put it between saran wrap, and then we pound it as thin as possible. The nice thing about the saran wrap is that, first of all, it doesn't make a mess. Because if you would have that piece of meat just laying here on that chopping block and you pounding it out the way we're doing it right now, you will have juices all over the place. And it's going to get real messy. This way, the saran wrap keeps it all inside. So now we remove the saran wrap, and we have this really beautiful, fresh, and thin chicken breast, you see? So to do this schnitzel, like in Germany, most of the schnitzels are breaded. And so what you need to do is you have here some flour, which I added a little bit of salt and pepper to it, so it gives it a nice little spice. Here we have some whole eggs, which I beat up. You want to make sure that you don't beat the eggs too much, so they don't get too fluffy. And then here we are having the breading mix. And what I'm using here is a panko crust, which is a Japanese breadcrumbs. I feel the Japanese breadcrumbs are a little bit more crunchier than the regular breadcrumbs. Here we take the thin chicken breast, put it into our salted flour. Then we're going to put it into our egg yolks. Leave it right in there. And then we're going to put it last into our panko crust. Now, the one thing which you have to make sure is this too, which I would like to tell you. You cannot reuse this stuff here. Because if you have that meat in there with the flour and with the eggs, you know, I mean, you can bread more than one order, but after your breading is done, you should get rid of it, because it doesn't hold and there will be some bacteria in there. So here we go. Here's our schnitzel, which is now breaded. And now the only thing we have to do is put it in our frying pan. Now you see the frying pan is nice and hot, and the oil is hot, which is very important, because if the oil is not hot, the oil will penetrate the breading. You see this right here now, how nice it is? It would penetrate the breading, which would make the schnitzel really greasy. So what you want to do is this: when you cook a schnitzel, you want to make sure that you move the pan as much as you can. Be careful, because you don't want to have that hot fat spilling over and burning you. But you see, this is the way to do it. You want to move the fat. You want to make sure the fat goes on top of it too. Then when it's nice and crispy, like you see it here, you turn it around. And this is basically done. You see how fast it goes. Now what we want to do is this. We want to remove the schnitzel for a second. You see, the schnitzel only takes a few minutes on each side. It's because it's so thin and the fat is so hot, and you don't want to overcook it. So now what we are doing is we're removing this oil, and what we're going to do now is to make the schnitzel really tasty. We're going to add a couple of pieces of butter. Now, you're probably going to say, oh my God, all this fat, all this butter, you know, it's not very healthy. But you know, between you and me, it's really not bad. You just don't have to eat. You cannot eat schnitzel every day. You can only eat schnitzel like once a week or something like this. So we put it in there for 1 second, you see, to give it that nice flavor. We move it around the pan, put a little bit of butter on there. And here we go. And we put it back on the plate. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just put a little bit of the brown butter on top of the schnitzel. Here we go. And now you got the perfect schnitzel. I'm serving spätzle with the schnitzel. Spätzle is a pasta which is done with eggs and flour and a little bit of milk, salt, nutmeg. It's all mixed up together. Then you put it in boiling water and you take it out after about 3-4 minutes and you dry it. And then whenever you need it, you saute it in a nice frying pan. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to plate. So we're going to add the spätzle. We're going to add the schnitzel. And we're going to add a little bit of red cabbage. And we're going to give it a little bit of color with some beautiful fresh picked basil. And here we go.